Hi, I'm Bob Hopper, and I'm lucky enough to be an old-timer in this church. My goal with this video blog is to explain to you why I think it's important to be generous to UUCA during this time when we're considering our pledges. If you've already made a pledge, thank you. But I'd actually like you to reconsider and amend your pledge to make it bigger. If you haven't done a pledge, I'd like you to take some time, go to the website. You're on the website. Go to the part on pledging, and you can fill out your form right now. You wonder, why am I doing this? Let me tell you, one of the luckiest days in my life was in 1972 when my wife Carol and I wandered into the UU church. We had been just the normal background, working at the State Department, looking for something and not knowing exactly what we were looking for. But when we stepped into this grand building and saw kids running around, we knew we had found it. And then, in meeting and working with all of you, people who I call fellow travelers, and I revel in the fact that there are people who think fellow traveler is a traitorous word. We've found ways that we could do things together to make this a better world. You know, I'm still lucky. For the last several months, I've been part of a group of about 20 of us who've been plotting, scheming spiritually every Wednesday evening, trying to find a way to put together a program of UU things that we can do that will make us better, underpinnings and foundations and structures that will allow us to continue, and things that you'd be happy to support. And amazingly, I'm so strange that I find going to meetings and doing that fun and satisfying. You know, we have some big gaps we have to fill. The most important one right now is a financial gap, because if we can't preserve ourselves, we won't be here to make the beloved community work and to fulfill what we're trying to do. And we know that since the Great Recession or the financial crapola crash or whatever one wants to call it, that many of us have lost our confidence. And some great UUs don't feel confident enough to make a pledge. Others have been hurt so badly that they've retreated. And they either can't afford to live in Northern Virginia, or they're embarrassed and they won't tell us that they need help. And so they disappear. How can we fix this? One way, those of us who are okay or even doing better, we can step up and do more. But in addition to giving money, which is essential but not enough, we can do things to practically help our friends. We can, when we're in the fellowship hall, let's always try to find someone new to talk to every Sunday instead of just our friends. But don't forget your old friends. Let me tell you, one of the things that has struck me about this church, we take a lot of pride, justly, in how competent we are and how smart we are and how well we're doing, but sometimes we take a break when we're here on Sundays and we need to charge our batteries. I love sitting here and looking out the clerestory windows, seeing trees like these and watching squirrels run around, shutting my eyes and listening to the music. But you know, that's not enough. We need to reach out and help one another. I sometimes really wonder why all of us who have great connections, many of us have really good jobs and good careers, we know lots of people. Why don't we form some networks? Why don't we organize some job-sharing workshops at church and help some of our members and friends find jobs that can become good careers? Somebody should step up and organize that. Also, we know right now that we have members and friends who are feeling that they can barely breathe. They're underwater on their mortgages. They can't see how they can afford to live in Northern Virginia. And yet we have people who are experts in the real estate business. We have bankers and local officials in our churches. Why don't we have a workshop to help people figure out how to refinance their houses, to help them make sense of whether they should be owning or renting? We can do that. Why doesn't one of you step up and organize that? Or how about undocumented voters? I know that lots of us feel that it's mean-spirited and unfair for our governments to be voting now that you have to have a photo ID to vote. But you know, deep in our hearts, we know that to prosper and survive in our society, you actually need a photo ID. So instead, sure, let's help complain, let's try to make these laws go away, but in the meantime, let's do something more practical. Let's have a workshop here and help people in our area actually get photo ID cards. Let's work with the Arlington government and come up with some simple, easy ways to do that. That would be practical, and it would help people while we're complaining about the unfairness of the law. You know, another thing we can do is not be discouraged. Big change doesn't start with big things, it starts with little things. I can remember when two new UUs about 5 or 6 years ago asked me in the fellowship hall how could they get the Board of Trustees to vote to give money for a program they had conceived to help Central Americans in our area. I had just been through a similar thing, and amazingly, I thought of the right answer that Sunday. I told them, don't worry about getting the Board of Trustees to vote for anything. Find 10 friends. Start your program. Make it work. When it's working, the Board of Trustees and the church will want to support your program. We'll come to you and ask you to do this program even bigger. And that's how it is. Now we have the PAG program that we just did a Share the Plate Sunday for, and the church loves it. Some Sunday, thank our friends John and Chris Sutton for doing this, and remember, you can do this too. And look, in your daily jobs, don't be embarrassed to support and mention UU values. I did that at the State Department and was amazed that people were curious and welcomed learning about what we were doing. And you don't have to be an evangelist to do it. Just talk and work our values. For my part, what I want to do right now is to help us fill our financial gaps so that we can continue being a force for good. I want to do this personally because I owe so much. I owe a lot to the young people in our church who inspire me when they step up and sing in Chalice Theater. I owe it to the young people who during Youth Sundays come out to me and explain their life problems. I owe it to those of you who like me, go to meetings and do the work that helps the church. And I don't want to forget the dearly departed ones who I discover at the memorial services we do have done great things in life, and I want to continue those great things. So now is our time. The world needs Unitarian Universalists. Speak up, share your love, and give till it helps. But most important, build connections and greet one another with a smile. And consider making what I've learned recently is called a Hopper-Tithe. That's to give 10% of what you make. Don't just give it to this church. Give 10% of what you make to causes that help make the world a better place. And include UUCA as part of your tithe. Thank you. Let's fill the gaps and build the beloved community.